Hey guys, welcome back to Maelstrom Gaming Studios, and today we have our very first list review video here on our channel. We will be featuring the Tyranids nonetheless, very fitting for us. But if you guys are looking forward to these kinds of videos and you want to see more of them, please like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. Maybe comment down below, would you like to see these? Do you want to see these for other armies? Tyranids are my speciality. Other armies plenty though, I know them fairly well and can give some list analysis on those. We are also working here at Maelstrom Gaming Studios to come up with a way for you guys to send lists to us to be part of these list review videos. More on that in the future as we start to grow the channel more. With that being said, let's hop into the list. So this list is, there's two versions of this list I'm going to go through, and this is a list I came up with for me for my next GT tournament at the end of July. I typically like to come up with my lists about a month or so in advance, so I have a couple weeks or weekends to play them out, really get a feel for how the army will play, what are its strengths and weaknesses, and if I need to tweak it, when and how can I tweak it. So let's go over version 1. This is designed to be a top, I won't say it's a top table list because Tyranids are not guaranteed to be a top table army, but I'm going to try to do as best I can. Last year I went to the same GT. I was the only Tyranid player out of 54 players and I came in 10th. So I thought that was pretty good for being my first GT and as the only Tyranid player in a room full of Space Marines to come out on top, well, in 10th. So here's my next crack at this GT, list version 1. So in the HQs, we have Swarmlord, now at 240 points. We have a Malanthrope, 150 points, and we have a Neurothrope with the Resonance Barb. 3 very good HQs. I think it's hard to go without them. They all provide a very key part to your army. Swarmlord is a counter threat and also a very utility piece for the Tyranids. The Malanthrope, great support. That -1 hit bubble is very good for surviving certain onslaughts of shooting. And the Neurothrope with Resonance Barb can guarantee that you get powers like Catalyst off almost every turn, because there is only one die roll you can fail, and that is a double 2. Yeah, anyway, so that's the Neurothrope. The troops, we have 2 groups of 10 Termagants. These guys are designed to just sit in the backfield, maybe sit on a middle objective, but typically stay in the backfield, score my home objectives, screen out deep strikers and things like that. They're not designed to do too much more beyond that. We also have a group of Rippers that I will most likely be deep striking, depending on the scenario, the objective, what's going on. But, you know, deep striking to hop on an objective. Then we have a big block of 9 Warriors with enhanced resistance. These guys come out to 185 points. They are a hodgepodge of close combat weapons and maybe a gun or 2. My Warriors are from 5th and 6th edition. Actually, they're all from 5th edition minus the 3. So they are just built with the hodgepodge of Scything Talons and random bone swords. And at the tournament, they are tried to enforce WYSIWYG as much as possible. So I just throw what I have on here and mix and match the magnetized few that I have in order to match. So their job is sit on the objective, hold it. They're not going to be too killy, but they're going to be very durable. Elites, we have my 6 Zoanthropes. Go perfect with a Neurothrope. I know some people are not as keen on Zoanthropes as they are other creatures, especially for 300 points. I mean, you could fit a Demacaron in there. I just really like Mortal Wounds in a game where you could go up against Dark Angels or Blade Guard veterans for other Space Marine chapters, Custodes, Sisters. Yeah, I hope we don't go. They are gaining a lot more psychic denial, though it's not as good, but they have it. Being able to dish out mortal wounds like crazy with these guys can really negate some of your opponent's high durability units. And if they're not exactly on top of the damage these guys can do, you might catch them off guard. You get a super smite in there plus a psychic scream, you could be dropping a couple Terminators in one turn, which would be a huge blow to your opponent's high durability armies. So I like them. Hive Guard, 6 Hive Guard, you can't leave home without those. Not much else to say there. Also, 2 Lictors, I don't think you can do a GT without 2 Lictors for your objective-based secondaries. Heavy support, we have 2 Barbed Hero Duels. One of them, because I've used one Adaptive Physiology already, one of my Barbed Hero Duels will have Dermic Symbiosis. This one will probably be the one that pushes up a little bit more to be both a shooting and close combat threat for mid to late game close combat. You'll be the one taking the brunt of the enemy firepower, and I'll try to keep the unbuffed one more in the back, and he picks and chooses his targets a little more wisely. That's the idea. Other notes that are important, with this list I'll have 11 command points, but more importantly, I am playing this as Jormungandr. So that will give my Termagants a little, sorry, I am playing as Jormungandr. So that will give my Termagants some added durability. My Rippers could get a little durability out of this. The Warriors are going to get a huge boost because now we're looking at a 3-up save, ignoring AP -1 and 2 in shooting. Great. If we go with close combat armies, yeah, it's not going to be as great, but I think the shooting is what I'm worried about. So that's good. Zoanthropes don't care. Hive Guard, it'll actually help them out in case you go up against ignore line of sight. Artillery typically has pretty low AP, low to none AP. So having an extra save on your unit that won't be in cover but behind it will, thumbs up to give them now a 3-up save. And again, the 2 Barbed Hero Duels, they will be looking at a 1-up save in the open. That means las cannons and dark lances will be giving them 4-up saves, and multi-meltas, they'll still get a 5-up save. So really the Dermic Symbiosis is only used for certain guns, close combat, and of course the doubling your wounds bracket. That's the list number 1. We'll go into list number 2. It is very similar, so we don't have to go nearly as in-depth with it. There's just a few changes. Notably, if you scroll all the way down to the heavy support, I have swapped the Barbed Hero Duel with Dermic Symbiosis for a Scythed Hero Duel with Dermic Symbiosis. And I'll explain a little bit more in the further slides, but the main reason is I thought I lacked a serious close combat punch besides the Swarm Lord. I also lacked some screen clearing, so a Scythed Hero Duel can do screen clearing very well. So I think he's good. He's also cheaper. I can, depending on the matchup, I can yeet him turn 1 with Swarmlord and just force my opponent to deal with him. I can put Catalyst on him. I can put, Dermic Symbiosis is already on him, so he's just going to be a very bulky dude. I can either charge him, or I can just sit there in the open and force my opponent to deal with him. I'd rather charge something juicy, but anyway. So because I got those point savings, I also shaved off 24 points for my Warrior squad. Now they're pretty much all Scything Talons with a few Bone Swords in there. I also had to shave off their Adrenoglands, but with that, I gained an extra squad of Rippers, great for objectives, and I had 28 points left over, so I threw in a Pyrovore. And I did that at first as a joke, but the more I think about it, a Pyrovore may not be that bad. I can keep in the corner. Sure, he's not going to actually deal a lot of damage, but in terms of getting secondary points, for 28 points, having something that just hides in the corner might be good because that'll free up my Gaunts to be a little bit more forward screening. It gives me one more unit to do secondaries with. That way my opponent just doesn't nuke my Gaunts turn 1 and now, oh no, I'm out of scoring units. I'm going to play with it. and see, but I actually think it might not be that bad of an inclusion for 28 points. The alternatives are making my Gaunt squad bigger, but you don't want to do that because then you run into like serious blast issues. And I think blast is going to be common in this tournament with AdMech being introduced. I think you'll see a little bit more of an uptick in blast. So I want to stay away from that a little bit. Warriors, I could beef my warriors out even more. 2 issues with that, or 1 real issue. Then that's putting a few more eggs in one basket there, point-wise. But then I also don't have the Warriors WYSIWYG wide to beef them up. I'd either have to buy another kit or, you know, maybe I can sneak by without being WYSIWYG. We'll have to see. I'm already buying these 2 hero duels, which are on their way now. And they said I've confirmed they will be here in time for the tournament to get them all nice and pretty. But yeah, so that's that. General ideas of these 2 lists, you kind of understand them. The Gaunts are screening. The Rippers and the Warriors are my objective guys. Zoanthropes will just take shots and deal mortal wounds. I could probably put them on objective. Hiveguard shooting. Lictors and Pyrovore for the objectives. And the 2 hero duels are going to be big heavy hitters as well as Swarmlord. So now we'll go into a little bit of some other tactics or ideas about the list. Again, we already went over the play style, so I won't cover that too much. Really, I just did that. So you got your Zoanthropes, your hero duels, pretty good durability. You've got some good objective scoring units, and you've got some decent firepower. So won't touch on that too much more because I already have. Secondaries, so this is important to think about when you're building your list, especially for GTs. How can you get maximum amount of secondaries and limiting your opponent with secondaries? So the 3 big secondaries that any opponent would look to use against Tyranids are Bring It Down, No Prisoners, and Abhor the Witch. My list is constructed in a way where they will only get 7 points for Bring It Down, 9 points for No Prisoners, and Abhor the Witch. They only get 8 points on. Those are 7, 9, and 8 aren't horrible, but they're nowhere near 15. And that is maxing it. That is killing every last model in each category to get that, which, unless you're tabling me, might be difficult. I feel most people will probably go for No Prisoners and try and clean out my infantry. Maybe that'll help out with my monsters. We'll see. Now, for scoring of my own secondaries, Retrieve Octaria's data I think is going to be an auto include. The Gaunts, Lictors, and the Pyrovore will give me 5 units who can, theoretically do that, plus the Warriors, the Zoanthropes, and the Hiveguard, if absolutely necessary, can do it, but I'd rather they not. So I think that'll be an easy 8 points, and I can probably do 12 points. I would say 3 out of 5 games, 4 out of 5 games, depending on my opponent's army. Grind them down. Could be good. If I go with the 2 barbed hero duel list, I have a fairly elite durable army. So I could theoretically do it for 9 points. 12 is possible. 15 obviously is a perfect score, but that's in a perfect scenario. Maybe in a early day 1 matchup I could do that, but we'll see there. Engage no fronts. Again, the Lictors will help for this a lot. I could see getting 8, 9 points being pretty easy. 12 is a bit of a stretch because I'm Jormungandr. I'm not going so fast up the board besides that side hero duel. I think I won't have as much of a presence on all 3 quarters as I will, or all 4 quarters as I will just 3. With that being said, I think the 8 points is probably an average I can look at, maybe pushing it up to around the 10-ish area, with the Lictors' help up, of course. Pierce the Veil is possible. It's one I am considering. It's very dependent on my opponent's army, because if they've got a lot of characters that have to be up in the front line supporting, that could be good for me to use Swarmy. I mean, Swarmy's powers aren't crucial in the game. They're great, don't get me wrong, they're great, but I'm looking at Catalyst on the Neurothrope, Psychic Scream on the Zoanthropes with Smite. Then it's really utility power, so it'll be Paroxysm, Onslaught would be the next two important ones. Or I might put Onslaught onto the Neurothrope, depending on how important I think it is. It might be better to put Onslaught on the Neurothrope if I'm going for a turn 1 charge. If not, then I'll put Catalyst. So it could be, I have to play around. So Pierce the Veil could be possible. I could, 6 points is easy. 2 turns of doing a Psychic Power on a character, 24 inches away. That's fine. 9 to 12 points, I think, depending on the character, would be even better. We'll see. These are just my initial thoughts on how to do it. Again, there's other ones, like Bring It Down, No Prisoners. I can't do a Bore the Wish, but Grind Them Down. We'll see there. So then some threats I should go over that I am considering when building this list. The Imperium Multi-Meltas, first off, they're everywhere now. Sisters have got a bazillion of them. The Space Marines, of course, every Space Marine list is probably packing at least one attack bike with the Multi-Melta or one Eradicator squad or something. They're still scary, and even though they're only strength 8, so my big monsters are only wounded on 4s, D6 or D6 plus 2 damage is still a hefty blow to a model, especially when they can have 2 shots apiece and so many. Yeah, so that's obviously a threat. The Neurothrope, the Malanthrope will help with giving a -1. AdMech Firepower is going to be probably very present in this tournament, considering they will most likely be the newest army when this tournament happens. Orcs might be out, will probably be out by the tournament, but I think it's just in terms of heavy firepower armies, it'll be the AdMech are the scariest ones out there. Their Cognitus las cannons are terrifying at strength 9, AP -3, D3 plus 3 damage. Now with my big bugs who they'll probably be shooting, the D3 plus 3 on Zoanthropes will auto kill them. That's unfortunate. But at AP -3, if I'm using Barbed Hero Duels, that's still a 4-up save in the open, which is something. We'll see how that works, but there's not much you can do as a Tyranid player to avoid those. I'm doing everything I can, putting out -1 to hit, and feeling no pain potentially, and an automatic cover save. Finally, some things just in the way my army is built. Since I'm Jormungandr, if an army like Imperial Fist comes out and they have ignore cover on a whole bunch of things, there's not much I can do about it. That basically takes my army tactic and throws it out the window. That's unfortunate. Reduced damage is something I'm very worried about. All of my shooting, besides the mortal wounds from the Zoanthrope, which is psychic, but it's D3 damage from the Hive Guard and a flat 2 damage from the from the Barbed Hero Duels. If there's Death Guard, which there will be, I'm going to be in serious trouble there. And if I have to face a ton of, say, Redemptor Dreadnoughts, that is also going to be rough, because now I'm doing 1 damage a shot. I don't have enough shots to clean through them. Hordes will be an issue if I don't bring the Scythed Hero Duel. Necrons can bring a very annoying and powerful horde list. Something I don't look forward to facing, but if I do, I've got to take it on. And I've played against Necrons a lot, so I know how to deal with it. It's tricky. AdMech can now be a very horde army, and so can the Sisters. Now that their basic battle Sisters can be 20 units strong, you could easily see a list where they've got 1 or 2 big blocks of 20. We'll see. That's that. So those are it. Those are my two lists that I'm playing around with for the next GT that I'm going to. What do you guys think? Do you think these lists are pretty solid, have potential? What would you change about them? Are you not a big fan of Zoanthropes? I know a lot of people are in terms of competitive play. Would you get those out and add a This has been our first list review video on the channel. Like and subscribe, put those comments in the comments section, hit the little bell icon, and thank you guys for watching. It's been great, and we'll catch you next time here at Maelstrom Gaming Studios.